Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Indie Choice Picks, and today I have a very special treat for you guys. This is one of my personal acquaintances that I met on Twitter way back in the before time, before Indie Choice Picks was even a show. I met a awesome girl named Bitsy Tandem who wrote a really cool comic book called Maiden in Disguise. Now I got this off Amazon back when it was just an infant, and I liked the story and I read it and it was great. My wife loved it, she read it, she loved it. I think I said that twice. But anyways, she is joining us today on the Indie Choice Pick Show with her husband Aaron, and they are actually taking Maiden in Disguise and they are revamping it into something, I guess, new per se. And of course, they come on the show. They're going to be dropping knowledge about how to run a successful Kickstarter or Indiegogo crowdfunding campaign, because they did that, and boy, did they exceed expectations. So please sit back, relax. You're in quarantine anyway. You shouldn't be doing anything else, such as walking outside. And enjoy this episode of Indie Choice Picks as I bring you both Bitsy and Aaron Tandem and their book, Maiden in Disguise. You guys enjoy. Hey, you guys, thank you for finally coming onto the show. I know we were supposed to do it on Friday, I think, but this coronavirus is everywhere, and it's just kind of,
Oh, yeah.
yeah, this is insane. So, Bitsy, I know you from Twitter. We met, I don't know, years ago. I saw your art, really great job. You've come a long way, and how your art used to look to what it does now, so kudos on that. I've never met your husband, but go ahead and introduce you guys self. Let the let the audience know who you are, what you guys are doing. The mic is yours. Go for it.
All right. Well, I'm Bitsy Tandem. I write and illustrate a comic book series called Maiden in Disguise, and with the help of my husband, who does all of my editing, because I suck with words.
The spelling is atrocious, and that's what I started with.
Right.
But we decided to relaunch the comic this year because the old one is just, like you said, my art was so different compared to how it is now. With like the whole journey, it's just everything's changed. Right. So the story's changed, the art's changed. We're just scrapping the old and relaunching it. And he's been helping me write it out in a much more cohesively planned manner, because I'm the chaos, and he gets it to where other people can understand my chaos.
Right.
When you've been together with someone long enough, and you become fluent in that person's language, so she, as I put it might be a little bit too much, but she kind of just vomits on a page, and then I go like, I pick out the pieces, which is a little bit of a nasty analogy, but
I don't know. I get it. First vomit. My wife does that with me too, because sometimes I can't really articulate what I want to say, and she'll stop and does this thing with her eyes where she's like reading my mind, and then will tell somebody exactly what I was trying to say, and it makes sense. So it's good to have that person like next to you that kind of can regurgitate what you're trying to say while you're word vomiting. I'm bad at that.
Totally.
Yeah. Does it look like
That's
this?
Exactly the same.
Yes, it's exactly like that. But she'll do it in a way, it's like she'll turn to me and do that look like I said something stupid, but it's just her trying to get a read on.
I'm trying to understand.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm 100%, because my wife edits some of my stuff too. Before I publish anything, I would give her like a draft, and I would say, okay, read it, and then she would just, you don't say this right, you're saying this, but it means that, you're not trying to, and she'll just take it and just do it again. And it's good to have someone, especially when you're dealing with words, on your team who can fix that up for you. I completely understand.
I feel that.
Yeah, dude, it's hard. So, Maiden in Disguise, I think I bought a copy. I read it. I liked it. My wife read it. She liked it. The artwork, I think, was great. So when it comes to that book, the one that I got off Amazon, is that the one that you guys are scrapping and just kind of redoing?
Yeah, so it's the same canon. It's the same universe. It's the same stuff. We're just doing the storytelling much better, second time around, look at it and be like, okay, this doesn't make sense when you read it in this manner. We need to understand, like, this character is this and this is that. I can't explain it. But
That's when I give her the
right. It's the same
Yeah.
canon, but a different continuity. Does that make sense?
Like
best way.
Told differently?
You've watched or read Full Metal Alchemist, yeah?
Yeah.
So you know how the anime came out, and then a good like 10 years later, the manga didn't necessarily come out, but you realize when you started reading the manga that's the same context but almost different stories completely.
Right. They have two animes. They have the one that's based on a manga and then something that's like something else.
Yeah, I'm the
Entirely.
contrary opinion bearer that I like the original one a little bit better, but that's just me. You can eat if you want, but it's one of those where when we developed her story over the years and her world started building a bit more, and with the success for Kickstarter last year and actually literally building her world, we kind of realized that the scope of her story just really didn't match the context that we provided within the first couple books.
Mm-hmm.
And over the last year, really starting as early as like November of last year, we were really flirting with the idea of not necessarily scrapping things, but using that as the founding basis for relaunching the story in a better and more cohesive manner.
Yeah.
See, that's why you have him. He explained it perfectly. There you go.
That's why on Twitter I'm like, can I take my husband with me?
She's
Yeah.
the ideas person. I'm the clarifier.
Right. Hey, every relationship needs one. I mean, I thought it was just us men because I can't articulate for anything. But I mean, we're not alone here, so that's cool too. So,
Your wife, that's awesome.
when I first got my hands on your book, you were doing a webtoon series, right? You were posting it on Webtoons, right?
Mm-hmm. And I still have it up on Webtoon and Tapas and my own personal website. It'll probably be taken off the personal website, but I kind of want to leave it up for people to see, where it started. And I've got a lot of, I have a handful of fans on those platforms that have told me, we don't want you to leak this. This is something we really care about. Oh, you guys. So I like to make my comic as free as possible, but so we're thinking of doing another Webtoon launch this summer for the new one, for the relaunch, and on our website. But we're also trying to reach out to publishers and maybe get that next step.
Right.
Saturday AM?
No.
They're pretty cool. You should check them out. They're a group of manga creators, specifically shoujo is... No, not shoujo. I do shoujo. Specifically shonen
Okay.
is where they started. So shonen comics, and they have their own website where they kind of publish and launch, and they've been growing a lot. And I've been trying to reach out to them and maybe do a shoujo branch. And they've started working with other people to do that as well.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm kind of like, guys, remember me? Hi. So maybe right. That'll lead somewhere.
Well, send me that on Twitter because I like to look into that. Currently, right now, I'm working on a manga myself, so I've been working around the clock to get that just done. But you know how you come up with a concept for a story, and then you're like, okay, this is it. This is what's going to be. And then you start coming up with, what if we do this? What if we do that? And it just kind of branches off into people are asking me, how long is it going to be? And I'm like, I have no idea at this point. Right. I'm like 6 pages in, and I'm like, oh God, I have no idea where this is going to end, but I'm just going to keep drawing until I can't draw anymore. So that's just how it is. So let's dive into your comic really quick. The name of the comic is Maiden in Disguise. Tell the audience what it's about. How'd you come up with the idea? Where you at now versus where you were before?
So Maiden in Disguise, or the relaunch as it will be called, Maiden in Disguise New Game, is about a gamer girl. Mm-hmm. She plays this really high-level character in an MMORPG, and she's a very popular live streamer. So she'll stream her character going through, doing these high-level raids, and everybody knows her. Anyone who plays the game knows who she is. But in-game, she's a very alpha masculine man. And all of her fans across the board just assume she's a boy as well.
Mm-hmm.
She's kind of, androgynous looks, kind of messy. And so she goes to high school, and this is kind of where it starts. And she meets, a guy, and she's like, wow, he's really cool. I think he likes me, maybe. And he totally thinks she's a dude. So he's like, what's up, bro? How's it going, dude?
Aww.
And he's like, wow, he likes me. But it's totally not that. So it's kind of a little bit of shenanigans and a little bit of character development and her finding out who she is and kind of confronting that, it's okay, if I'm not a boy, or versus, how do you say it? Like the gender struggle.
Yeah, there's a lot of kind of those modern themes where people are like in that gender identity stage, like, who am I? What is that I represent? Do I have to fit within these certain norms and all the stuff that we're really experiencing now? But the way to make that even more so is that I think all of us kind of go through a phase in our life, like, what if I was someone else? What if I was known for being someone else, but taken to almost the nth degree, where the main character, Ellie, she is only known as this individual that she is in the game. And so everyone just kind of attributes all of her personality traits to that individual, when as a real life person, she is the exact opposite.
Right.
So everyone thinks she's Ragnar. He's super brash, super bold, super confident, and just gigantic personality and commanding. And in real life, she's this 4'10", diminutive, awkward girl that just like has never really had any real friends in her entire life.
Right. Right. I think a lot of people can relate to that, because on my Xbox, when I play Destiny, my gamer tag is something that people will look at and be like, that's a girl. But then I could just shoot you in the face and make you upset because I play Destiny a lot. I mean, I'm on that a lot. Me and the wife, we play all the time. So, I mean, I'm not a warlock chick running around with a hand cannon blasting people off. I'm the huge 6'1" black guy that plays football and basketball and stuff like that. So it's really relatable, because when I was reading it, I was like, that sounds like me. Just I'm not a girl on the real life. I'm the direct opposite. So I've been doing that a lot ever since I read your book. Whenever I would start a new game like Pokemon Sword and Shield, I would end up being like a girl, or let's go, I'm a girl. Like whenever you could choose a gender, I go, I think I'm gonna be a girl this time. And I never got that idea until I read your book. Honest to God truth.
Yeah. And lots of people do that. It's always a funny thing, because I mean, when I played World of Warcraft for the longest time, it's like, hey, if I'm going to be staring at the backside of a character for my entire game time, I might as well like be looking at something that's a little more of the feminine variety.
Right.
But within that same context, it was like you talked about with your book. You start off writing something and you have an idea of what it is and where it's going to go, but as you spend like months to maybe even years writing it, and you realize that where your comic started, where your story started, and where it has gone, it's just so disparate.
When I started writing Mid, I didn't know the ending. I was just like, this is a good concept. I really like this idea. I've been thinking about building a world for my other stories, and it'd be a great prequel kind of thing. It's like just to get my toes wet. And I actually had the idea driving back home from a Comic-Con. I was like, ooh, let me write all this down. And then we get home, and I'm like trying to figure out a name and write it. And the main character is really, really similar to how I was in high school. And I just remembered that, like, when I played video games, I would always get kind of harassed, even by people like, because everyone, you're partying, you're playing, they'll be like, turn your mic on, let's do this, let's do that. And as soon as they find out you're a girl, they're like, are you hot? I'm like, I don't know. I'm 12.
Are you playing in your underwear?
Right.
Right.
Like, you want to date me? Like,
the internet is a very weird place. I mean, if my wife plays World of Warcraft, she just got back into playing, and she said like she keeps on getting like weird messages from dudes, and I'm like, that's weird. Like even I get messages from people because they think I'm a girl, And I had this one person like email me or message me on the Xbox. He's like, "Hey, how old are you?" And I go, I'm a 10-year-old little boy." And they just completely just like blocked me from then on out. And I'm like, yeah, no, I'm just here to play. I'm not here to look for any relationship. Like, get out of here.
Especially with that
Ridiculous.
variety.
But it's like, especially girls, it's like, oh, you can't be a serious gamer unless you want to date me and, raid with these bunch of jerks that I know.
Mhm.
I'm like, I don't know. I'm like, no, you can be a serious gamer and be a girl. And I know it's a lot more accepting now, but when I was in high school, it was very much like either you are like this troll of a person who is a gamer or you're not serious. And it's like, why can't I, be myself and be able to play these games and enjoy them?
Yeah.
And I think a lot of that stigma is kind of blown away because now there's more women who are playing games and they're really good. My wife, we were in a Crucible one day and she doesn't even shoot people. She just comes up and punches you in the face and it's a KO because she's that high of a level. She can just run up, take a few hits because she plays as a Titan, so they have like insane defense. And the way she like mods her character and stuff like that, she can just punch you in the face and then it's out. You're done. And
your wife and I would be good friends. That's all I did too.
Yeah.
It's so annoying because she has all these exotic guns, but she refuses to use them. Just punch them in the face.
Just punch her.
Wow.
There's something satisfying by using your own fists.
Right. It's like super annoying because she would like grind the hell out of the game to get the exotic and then never uses it.
Just punch cast fist.
But that's exactly why I had to change. Like, that's where it started. It started out with this stigma that doesn't really exist anymore. So we've started pushing the story more toward the personal identity side. And now that we've actually decided, okay, this is the ending. We know where it's going to end now. None of the stuff I did before makes sense anymore. So we're like, okay, we got to redo it. Right. Tell it in a better way.
And it's kind of like a lot of it too, is that for how her story to make complete sense, that was the Kickstarter last year where we made a visitor guide to the entire planet that her stories take place, because Maiden in Disguise is just one story that really takes place this entire world. It's a big one, but it's not going to be the be-all, end-all.
Right.
But with how the history supports the story that is being told, it's necessary for it in order for everything to make sense. But especially with using some of the real-world analogies like World of Warcraft and the live streaming ideas, is that when the main character live streams, it's not like where you have, the person in the corner of the screen, you actually see her right there.
Right.
More you are experiencing the game live stream wise, almost like it's an anime episode.
Kind of like like Sword Art Online, kind of like that.
Kind of like that, but with a little bit less of the VR head attachment and stuff.
It's more like it's a high role play server, so they get into character, and when you're in game, and it's its own world.
Right. So, okay. You guys said you go ahead.
Sorry, when she is playing the character, it's very much literally like when Robert Downey Jr. is playing Tony Stark. Is that in some ways you are no longer the person who you are in the real world, you are actually playing that character. And so that really emphasizes the disparity of like, oh, that's Elren Aguilar in the game, and there is no recognized personality outside of who that person is in the game.
Right. That makes sense. That makes perfect sense. You guys said you guys ran a Kickstarter last year to kind of release a book based on the world where all this takes place. How did that go for you guys?
It went really well. I was actually really surprised. Within the first week, we were funded, and we went 300% over.
Wow.
It was a little less than 300%, but it was more than twice.
It was more than twice. Wow. And well, we started really small. Like, I just wanted to cover the publishing fees and the map artist. Like, the map artist was expensive, and I just needed enough money to pay for that. So we did like $500 benchmark. Like, we've never done a Kickstarter before, and everyone said, start small. If your first one's successful, you'll have a better chance of having more successful ones. So So I was really hoping, within a month I could get that 500. I was like, I'm sure I can get this. And then one of my patrons actually went and bought the premium tier, and he did $300. He funded more than half of the original goal.
I was like, oh, hey,
wow,
we're in the green at least. Everything else after this is just cream on the top.
And then we had stretch goals, and it seems like once you hit your goal, everyone's more willing to donate because they're like, okay, this is happening and I will get this.
You're actually going to get what you pay for, yeah.
Get in there and make some more stuff happen. So we were able to get 2 big name artists to do pieces for it, as well as publish it and print it. So we've actually got printed copies that were sent out to the supporters. As well as the PDF, which we're running a promotion right now. Before the launch of the comic, you can get the free PDF by going to my website and signing up for the email list. So
I'll definitely put that in the description for you guys. So you guys heard it. You get something free. Everyone likes free stuff.
Everyone loves free stuff.
Yeah, I remember we were on Twitter, and then I got off Twitter for a while because it was fucking Twitter. Just you gotta take a break for a while. Oh God, you gotta say, nope, I'm not gonna do it. So I got off Twitter for a while, and then I saw you on Instagram, and I was like, oh, she's running a Kickstarter. She's moving on up. Look at her go. I was just like kind of curious because most of the time, a lot of people have been posting their art on Twitter because that's where most of my interviews for the show come from. It's on Twitter. I rarely get any from Instagram, so I was really surprised when I saw you on Instagram running a Kickstarter. I was like, I gotta get her on the show. I mean, you're actually aside from your husband, you're the first female on the show. I'm not even joking. Like, you're the first female on the show. The show's open to everybody. I don't care who it is. If you're a giraffe, purple
I'm gonna be a giraffe.
I will have you on the show. No joke. For sure. So you guys are relaunching everything. Are you going to do a crowdfunding for your reboot of your comic?
Well, we're not planning to do physical copies right off the bat, so we weren't initially planning to do another Kickstarter until next year, which we would like to kickstart the actual video game that they play in the comic book as a tabletop RPG game, because we don't know how to make a video game, but we figured if we can get, game books, make it playable, make it enjoyable, get like a role play D&D kind of setting for the game, then maybe we could take that and pitch it to a game studio and be like, hey, we've got this. It was a successful Kickstarter. People love it. We just need to make it actually on the computer.
Right. Get some people down there to make it into a video game. So I see a lot of people doing that. They're making tabletop RPGs based on their comics or work. I know a guy named Marion G. Hammond. He's the writer of Wearing the Cape, superhero fiction series, and he just launched his, or I don't know if he launched it, but I think he's working on his tabletop game, and his books are fantastic. I love his book. So he was the first one that actually gave me the idea, like, tabletop game, what do you mean by tabletop game? And Dungeons and Dragons and stuff like that. And I was like, oh, okay, that sounds like fun. So you would buy like expansions for the book or for the game that you would read, and then people can just reenact and stuff like that. Sounds like a pretty good Saturday night to me. So how far along are you guys with that?
We've got a good foundation set. We've got the bones set. We're just fleshing it out. It's taking so much time, and writing is taking a lot of time away from my drawing, and I'm like, I gotta get these pages done. My first chapter isn't finished.
Right, yeah, I know the struggle.
But we plan to have a teaser pamphlet hopefully done around the same time that the comic launches this summer, so that you can be like, okay, this is the world, this is the actual comic story, and this is the game. So you've got your world resource, your game resource, and then the story. And you'd be like, okay, there's 9 planets. This is about this planet, that planet. This is kind of how the mechanics work. This is how you could build a character. Just kind of skimming it.
Yeah, it's just like we don't really have the resources between the two of us to write like the 400-page thick tome that you get when you have like the Dungeon Master's manual and the player's manual and stuff.
Right.
Maybe we could, but it would take like 10 years to write the whole thing.
Which is why we want to do the Kickstarter next year.
That would be the point of the Kickstarter is that being able to supply enough information and just like a little bit of a concept teaser so that when people are reading the comic and it's like, oh, I want to know what's going on in this place. Why is this important? Who are these people?
Right.
They can open up the teaser pad. Like, okay, I have enough general context that I can appreciate what's happening within the story to a greater degree.
Right. So that's kind of what we're focusing on now, and then later we'll really fill it out. And I've got tons of like ideas that I've written down over the years of stuff that I want to happen in this story. It's just about really fleshing it out and getting in there and making sure it's all cohesive and makes sense with the backstory and the characters. So it's just a lot of content.
You got to flesh it out and just keep it to where you do one thing at a time. Because I found myself doing like 3 projects at once, and I just like flipped the table and said, you know what, I'm not going to do this anymore. Just, I'm done. So where are you guys going to be launching your relaunch of the book? Is it going to be on Webtoons again?
Probably. Unless we get picked up by Saturday AM or a different publisher, probably Webtoon.
Unless some other platform. But Webtoon is just like such a great platform that really has changed the game so much when it comes to a lot of comic distribution.
Right. Yeah, it has. I mean, a lot of people are actually using that as a platform to like get patrons and stuff like that. And not only that, but I know people who actually they would launch their webcomic on Webtoons, and it would gain so popular that they can launch a Kickstarter or a crowdfunder to actually print the book, and that's, I didn't think that was the thing. I'm like, why would people want a printed copy when they can just read the digital PDF for free whenever they want, but people are so invested in that story and those characters and the artist itself that they'll take a printed PDF and no problem. So that's actually very, very smart.
Yeah. So that's probably what's going to happen around June, July, one of the J months.
This summer.
I mean, we got nothing but time here. I've been drawing day and night. I wake up, I draw, I do my job, or go to work, and then when it's done, I draw. So I mean, we literally have nothing but time until this whole coronavirus thing is over and done with. But I mean, you build these habits. I know a lot of people are they're trying to figure out what to do, and I'm like, draw your book. Do it. I mean, you have nothing else to do. You literally have nothing else to do. Turn on Netflix or Pandora, get a pen and paper if you don't have a tablet, and get to drawing. You have nothing else better to do. And I go to everybody watching this, if you're saying that you don't have anything to do and you have a book in mind, get to work on that book, because we don't know how long this is going to last. It can end next week and then tomorrow, and then you're back at work, and then you're still thinking about doing that book. So just do it. Just do it. That's all you have to do.
Yeah.
Right now.
Right now.
Because I used to work in a much different industry that no matter what you choose to do, the time's going to pass either way.
Right.
So like whether you're working on it or not, the same 6 months is going to pass. And you're going to be like, shit.
Right.
Should have did this yesterday,
I could have been 6 months ahead from what I was before if I was working on something.
That's how my Japanese is going.
Oh.
Yeah, I'm looking the other way.
Yeah, the bad way of that. It's like, it's been a year. I'm like, shoot, I can't speak to these people.
I think I took like 1 semester of Japanese and that was it, but I still practice like my hiragana, katakana. I can't read kanji to save my life. I try. The only thing I can read in kanji is when it says Japanese or Japan, Nihon or Nihongo. That's the only thing.
I've been studying pretty consistently for almost 2.5 years, and I still cannot watch anime without subtitles, and I still cannot read manga in its natural form without a translator.
Yeah, like you know the symbols. Like if you were to like have your hiragana chart out, you'd be like, oh, that's that and that's that. But if you're just like reading something in pure hiragana, katakana, I'm like, wait, what is that? Is that roll or so? I don't know.
Oh my gosh, that's how I am with like the ha and like what's the one I always forget, like new or ne.
Yeah, because they all look the same. Most of them look the same. The only difference is that they might have like a Q, like a little curly Q at the end, and that means a completely different character. It's so annoying.
Well, and they use like 4 different ways of writing in one sentence, and it's just like, stop.
Right. Like that's like I practice it a little bit from time to time, but if I'm watching like anime and the subtitles, I can kind of pick out and hear what they're saying. Like I can hear, oh, that means this, and then I'm like, yeah, I got it right because the subtitle said that. Yay! Then I turn off the subtitles and I'm just like, damn it, I can't do this.
That hasn't even thrown speaking into the equation yet either.
That's the hard part. I'll be like, okay, I think I know what's going on in this conversation, and then I'm like, crap,
No,
words,
yeah.
where'd the words go?
Yeah.
Yeah, I still have my Japanese book from college like sitting on my shelf, so I might whip it out and see. I think I stopped. We were learning up until like we were learning about like first, second, third, fourth, and that was it. So most of the Japanese that I know, I'm guilty of learning it from some anime. I'm not gonna lie. Not gonna lie. So, all right, guys, we're coming down to the end of our time together. I wish we had more, but at the end of every episode, I ask every guest to give one piece of advice, depending on what you guys are aiming for. And since you guys have run a crowdfunding, successful crowdfund, I ask people who come on the show to give one piece of advice. Mostly people who are watching this are trying to aspire to run that crowdfund and be successful. So what's the one piece of advice you can give to people who are looking to run a successful crowdfunding campaign?
So definitely check out comicslaunch.com. That's a lifesaver.
That's
Bunch
Tyler.
of tips.
I love Tyler.
Tyler Jones
Mm-hmm.
is great. But I think the biggest thing for me, someone said, start small. Once you have a first successful one, the algorithm will like you better and you can do bigger ones. But start small. I see too many Kickstarters out there that are like, I've never done this before, and you guys may or may not know me, but it's like $12,000. Nobody's funding you for $12,000 if you don't even have a comic yet. If they don't even know you. Start small, $500. Get that. Then be like, okay, guys, this was successful. Follow through. Give them their product. They will have it. They'll see it. They'll be like, this person said what they were going to do, did it, and then I got what I wanted out of it. Then do a bigger one. Then they're like, okay, we have the trust.
Mm-hmm.
I know you're successful. The algorithm knows you're successful. Then do your bigger one.
Yeah, I would agree with that. And I think this is breaking the rule. One piece of advice, but
keep it going, man. I love it.
Also, the Kickstarter is heavily dependent on the awareness of what you are trying to kickstart. And so if you have a launch date of like ours was January 1st within the new year, we were promoting it very heavily across all of our platforms since September of the year before.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
So that like, hey, January's coming up. Hey, January's coming up. They're doing this. We're doing this on the daily, on the weekly.
Previewed. People can go and follow your project progress.
Yeah. Yeah. So by the time you do get to launch, it's not a surprise. Like, oh, hey, I didn't know you were doing a Kickstarter. It's like, oh, it's finally here. Here's my money.
Because you want that first day to be a good one.
Yeah. I hear that a lot, that the first day and like the last 3 days of your campaign are like very crucial, because if you start strong, like you said, the algorithm will like you better. And then towards the last 3 or 4 days of your campaign, that's when you kind of get that push. Because I've seen campaigns that have been less than 25% funded, and then those last 3 days, I don't know what happens, but they just go overboard. Not only do they get fully funded, but they go maybe 20, 30, even 50% over what they really wanted in terms of funds. And I think that's like crazy, just saying it out loud. Being able to put something together for the audience and being able to use a platform like Indiegogo or Kickstarter to actually raise the money to get that product, book, whatever it is, made, I think is a fun tool and a fun concept to kind of grasp. But it's simple in terms of understanding what it is, but it's also hard work. So it's like the simplest, hardest work you'll ever do. Like, yeah, give me money to do this because I'm good at it. But like you said before, we don't know who you are. You're asking for 12 grand. Why should I give you money when I don't know who you are? And I think a lot of creators, they sort of kind of miss that boat, building up the pre-launch. Like you guys have been doing this since before your pre-launch, since September. That's 4 months of pre-launching. People just take a week to pre-launch, and that's not really that's not really adequate. You know, you need a little bit more time, especially if you're not really well known in the comic book industry or whatever industry you're trying to raise money for. So really good stuff, you guys. I really appreciate it. So I'm sorry to let you guys go, but I know you guys just kind of rolled out of bed on your side of the world. I'm about to go and get some dinner on my end and get ready for Monday. You guys are already Monday, right?
Yeah.
Yep, we're living in the future.
It's a very humid future.
Yeah.
I gotta ask before we go. You guys were living in, I think, Arizona a little while ago, and then you guys was up and moved to Japan. Just we're gonna do it.
Yeah.
How?
It's a whole story.
We don't have time for. I want to know. Maybe we'll get you guys back on the show. We can talk about that because I'm really curious. I'm like, she woke up and just said, "I'm moving to Japan." I'm like, that's okay. That's
right. I think the simple answer is jet program. We got on the jet program.
Yeah, right. Like
I got a pretty good job that helped the process quite a bit, but there's something about moving to a country that you don't really even speak the language or can even you're illiterate,
right?
And you can't communicate. It's still that way in so many ways.
You're still alive. I mean, you're still doing the best you can, so that's cool. So how's the transition been from just moving from America to going to a completely different part of the world, different culture, different everything? How's it been for you guys?
Well, it was terrifying at first. You know, it's like a lot of the food is really weird. It's really squishy, really fish smelling. But eventually you'll start to find things that you like and your staples. And I really like it here. I like it a lot better than America. We're out in the sticks. I like that, though. You know, out in the middle of nowhere, slow life, nice people, calm.
Yeah, it's one of those things I don't think you really can prepare for in a lot of ways, because everything that you think is going to happen just is going to be a bit different. But I think that's kind of part of the experience.
Hey, I mean, waking up and saying you're going to move to a whole different country, you better be in for some type of experience there. That's usually people plan that out and say, yeah, we're going to be moving in Japan for like a year. And next thing I know, I see on your Twitter, she's in Japan. Oh, are you visiting? She's like, no, we moved here. I'm like, what?
Probably the long term for a while.
The months leading up were insane. We're selling everything we own. We're selling our bed, sleeping on the floor. I'm just like, what are we doing? We're moving into the middle of nowhere? What? I've never even heard of like Miyazaki Prefecture.
Don't try to fly with a tandem bike if you can avoid it.
We brought a tandem bike.
I don't even know what that is, but it sounds like you guys had a hell of an experience with that.
Yeah.
Oh, it's crazy.
It's a whole convoluted story, though. We make it very entertaining.
We may have to do a live stream for that, because I'm really curious, like just what prompted all that, because that's actually kudos, and I see you guys have no regrets of doing that.
Oh no. Oh no. Yeah.
This is great.
We have no cheese, but no regrets.
True that.
Word, you guys, word. All right, guys, I'm going to let you guys go. Thank you guys for coming on to the show. I really appreciate it. Let me know if you guys have any links. I know you guys have the link to your website to get the free PDF. Also, if you want, send me the link for your what's on your webtoons already, and then the link to where the relaunch is going to go, because I'm sure people are going to want to jump on that and check it out.
And I can send you the link to the previous Kickstarter that was successful. If people want a case study, look at it, see what we did.
Right. That'll be helpful, too. So you heard it here, guys. Go check them out. Maiden in Disguise. These guys are awesome. I love them. I like your artwork. You guys, you've come a long way with your artwork. I just have to reiterate that a lot. Like from what you've done before to what it is now. I don't know what you're doing, but keep doing it, because your artwork is getting fantastic. It actually got me to like, this girl is still drawing. I got to get my pad out and start drawing. Keep up with her.
Dude, I couldn't draw a stick figure in high school. Everyone comes up to me like, you're so talented. It ain't talent. I work 8 hours every day. I draw. He pays my bills. I sit here and I draw every freaking day. All day.
That's all I'm good for.
Yeah, man, you got it good. You got it good, my man. So, All right, guys. Well, take care of yourself. I will see you guys on Instagram, on Twitter, and we'll do this again. I'm really excited to get you guys back on the show. If you guys have any Kickstarters or anything, or you just want to come on the show and hang out, maybe do a live stream, let me know. I'm more than happy to have you guys back on.
Yeah, it'd be great. This was tons of fun.
Super fun.
But yeah, I told you it would be fun, right? No need to be nervous.
Nervous.
All right, you guys. You guys enjoy your week, and I will see you guys on Twitter and Instagram.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Bye. And that is it for this episode of Indie Choice Picks. Guys, we made it to season 3. I'm excited. I am so stoked to get new creators onto this show. If you are an indie comic book creator or a writer or whatever, as long as it's indie, I want you guys to come onto this show. I am now taking submissions to have guests onto this show, and you guys are all welcome to come and join me on the show. I think I said show more than once. Anyways, you can find me on Twitter at Heroic Studios, or you can hit me up on Instagram, Will at Heroic Studios. Both of my tags and links to my social media is right there. So please let me know if you guys are interested in coming onto the show. I will see you guys next time with another fun, filled, exciting